Okay, this plugin is called Components onto Faces. Essentially what it does is it just takes a component and copies it onto the selected faces. So if we select all of these faces plus this component, run plugins, Chris Fulmer tools, we'll choose components onto each face. And you'll see what that does is that just copies that component as best it can to the center of each selected face. What you'll notice is that even though this line is hidden, if you turn off hidden geometry, you can see this looks like a single face, but in fact it's two separate faces. So it's good to know that this script onto each face is so that you can copy it onto every single face. But I also have a setting, come over to this one, if we select the same thing, do plugins, let's see, components onto faces and components onto face collections. Face collections is kind of ignoring those hidden lines, which acts maybe more like what you would kind of be expecting on something like this. It just copies a single component to this single, group of 4 faces or this group of 2 faces. Okay, all right, so that's the basic idea. So what else it does? See, this is a very odd shaped face, so it's going to have a really hard time finding the center of it. So we'll go ahead and run it onto the face collection, doesn't matter. See, and it tries its best to figure out where the center of that face is, but there's pieces of the face up here, so where it came up with is right here in the middle. So got to realize that's not always perfect, or maybe that is or isn't what you want, I don't know. Alright, so it would look like onto each face, perfect, How many times have I needed one of those? Alright, then here is, let's do this one, components onto face collections. So as you can see, it's a single big sphere, so there's only one kind of face collection. So if we run that, it looks like nothing happened, but in fact if we turn on X-ray, we can see it actually placed that component directly inside the sphere, because it tried to find the center of that whole collection of faces, and it turns out that is somewhere in the very center of that sphere. Alright, and then lastly, if you have a terrain like this, remember you got to keep in mind, these are all triangulated faces, so if you want it to just go one component to each of these groups, to each of these quads, just select all, plugins, Chris Fulmer tools, components onto faces, components onto face collections, and that'll just do a single component onto each quad there. Perfect. There you have it. Alright, and that is how you use components onto faces.